Please give this video a like and subscribe! I just wanted to play video games. Let's talk about Fallout, Horizon Hunters, and more in today's Week in Culture!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian, I'm here with John, and this is the Week in Culture, where we'll be discussing cultural news of the week that usually intermingles with, like, you know, actual news in many ways, and putting our own little, like, I guess, spin on things here. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask, John, how are you doing?
Oh, awesome as always. Just normal stuff going on. Gonna pop into a game stream with Will after we finish up over here today. So after that, just watching some Red Dwarf today and getting ready for tomorrow's coverage of that, I suppose. So just normal run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. Got a couple of hours of nap time in before the stream began, and I haven't even been out. Yeah, I think I haven't even been out of bed for 15 minutes yet. So I literally just kind of woke up, checked everything, got ready, and popped in right over here right as the link was becoming live. So yeah, everything's great. No complaints.
All right, that's great. And let me take a look at how you guys are doing. So yeah, I got myself a new tablet here. I just want to show you guys a drawing tablet from Helion, and I've been using it to make some artwork, and then I have Grok help me animate it, which is why I wanted to show off some of those little animations that I made and as part of the show. And I think I'm gonna have I'm gonna try to do illustrations of Vivian James popping up to tell you guys what the show is going to be about this week. Hence, I put her in a vault suit and had her saying we're going to talk a little bit about Fallout, because we are. I finished the season 2 of Fallout, and I see that there are, you know, opinions are kind of everywhere. I'm not like a big person on the lore side of things. I'm totally a tourist, and so I thought it might be interesting to discuss. Plus, there is something about Fallout, the show, that I haven't seen anyone talk about, and I think it's really strange. Maybe they have, and I just didn't notice. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Otherwise, doing well, and hello everyone. Welcome to the show. Let me see what we got here. We got Norwegian Black Templar, problematic white guy. Well, obviously, Toasty with the Mosty. Hello, Toasty. Robert Johnson, Zeppo. What's up? Come on, Brian, we know you got the talent to draw women with big milkers. Well, I mean, that's how you test to see if it works, but like, and it does. But I mean, that's not all I do. It's just what I've been into lately, I guess. So
I've been into drawing boobs for quite some time. Probably
yeah. I look, it's just
30 years.
It's a symbol of fertility, and it's pronatalism. That's how I'm gonna sell this, but. Anyway, so yeah, we got quite a few things to talk about, interesting bits of news here. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you guys to please give this a like and share. That's why Like Chan pops up. She's asking you to like the video if you don't mind, and giving it a share and subscribing to the channel. Wherever you're watching, we're streaming to Kick, to Twitch, to Rumble, to X, which I should put up on the screen right now, to yes, I'm twitching to X. I'm also sharing there, and YouTube. So, you know, give that a like and subscribe. So go on and support us. All right. So let's get into the stories. First, I want to share something I didn't get a chance to share last time. And I thought it would be a funny thing to open with. So we're going to start with this from TMZ. A man dressed as Batman crashes a Santa Clara council to basically like make a statement. So here's Batman.
Indeed.
Seriously, you have had months to prepare for this upcoming event. I don't give a damn if this is outside of decorum. People are dying on our streets every single day in this country because we allow this federal government to walk all over you. Look me in the eye. Can any one of you go home to your children and tell them that you did everything you could to protect their classmates, to protect their grandparents, to protect them? I don't think you can, with the exception of Park. Thank you. This needs to have happened 2 months ago, but you can still make it up and make every single policy on this little sheet of paper here happen right now. Happen before the Super Bowl. Happen before potentially hundreds of masked men come into our city and kill people. I am disgusted by each and every one of you, with the exception of Councilmember Park.
The most polite Batman.
You have not done something more.
Indeed.
Except for you, you're okay.
I mean, technically, you know, when he says masked men are coming into the town, he's not lying because he's standing right there. You know? I mean, at least he hasn't started calling them a whole bunch of two-faced jokers yet. You know, like
that no cooperation will be given to them. You need to
current speaker. Look, it even says right here, speaker timer, current speaker, Batman.
Indeed. I'm Batman. Swear to me.
You are not cowards. Because as of right now, I stand in front of a council of cowards. And if you do not act, you're not just cowards, you are traitors. Traitors to each and every individual you serve, to each and every individual that lives in this country, legal or not. You need to do something about getting these policies into writing, ensuring that your officers do not cooperate with ICE, ensuring that they cannot use city resources, that they cannot tap into city data before more people die. Yes, more people die. I don't think I need to go
that's awfully hypocritical.
How many
Batman seeing as what
people have been shot?
All the cell phones.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
when he hacked all the cell phones in Gotham.
Right. I mean, come on now, Batman. Come on now. Only private industrial billionaires are allowed to have these technologies at their disposal. Come on now.
How many people have been taken? How many children have been abducted and used as bait? I don't need to tell you that. You see it on the TV every single day. I don't want you to sit back and watch. I want you to do something.
Oh.
Each and every one of these people who have came up has been very polite, very earnest, very kind, pleading you, begging you to do something. I'm not begging you. I'm demanding that you act with some semblance of a spine. Do something.
Swear to me.
Thank you. This is embarrassing.
A bit.
It's embarrassing to me because it's like have you seen the memes that how do we want to call them memes? Basically like people who are anti-ICE lefties, basically. They're sharing like images of like fictional characters from comic books and video games and movies like killing ICE officers. Like I don't know what that is. Like that's this weird thing of like people saying my favorite fictional character agrees with my politics, and then putting it out there. And I mean, like, I don't even want to get into whether or not that's even true, but it's so cringe. It kills me as a geek. It kills me to see that. Like, so, guy, what are you doing? what? You are an embarrassment. Like these, like, and do they live in reality? Like, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, based on this costume, gonna have to go with probably not so much.
He's wearing hockey pants.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not the one wearing hockey pants.
I do like that he went with the slimming top. You know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going. It's terrible, dude. And yeah, like Gabriel says, it's wish fulfillment. It's their power fantasy. Yeah, that's the thing. Like these people, they want to be the heroes of their own story, but they don't even have like a grasp on morality. They have this grasp on like, it's essentially just will to power. That's why it's a power fantasy. That they would, if they had power, they would use it to do things that they thought were good without considering whether they were. And it's delusional. Like, how weird must it have been to be sitting in that room when this guy was up there? Like, this is why you shouldn't be taken seriously. I know what you're asking for, but you don't even, like, I'm sorry, but you're dressed like a clown. I don't know how else to describe it. It's silly.
Yeah, it is also to some degree, like you're sitting here, you're talking about this very serious thing, and then you infantilize it by you know, going and trying to attach it to a childhood kind of memory thing of weird wish fulfillment. It's like, I don't know that your message is really coming across the way that you think it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know, it's just some play like we're doing right now, but that's about all you're gonna amount from anything like this. It's just, it's not wise resource, you know, planning or anything like that. Like, I don't get it. You know, like,
yeah.
I guess your hope at that point in time is that everyone else is just as big of a Batman fan as you are, and somewhere deep down in their heart of hearts, they're not going to let down some childhood comic book fictional character, and that's the reason that, I mean, that's almost it. It's bad enough being ruled over by some ball worshiping, you know, pagans, you know, or outright Satanists at this point in time in the world. You know, it's pretty tragic stuff. But I don't know that it's actually, in some ways, I don't know if that's actually any worse than if we actually just used fictional characters to dictate our political motivations. Like, that seems kind of just as absurd, but for entirely different reasons. I mean, certainly less human cost, I suppose, than what's playing out under the current system, but also kind of shows that we're not really trying here. Like, this is not like a legitimate thing we're doing. The experiment called society has failed. You know.
Yeah,
I don't know. We are getting into some desperate days for sure, because if this is what
we got Batman and Santa Clara before we got GTA 6. So.
That's right. He made it to the West Coast.
Yeah, this guy's not in Minneapolis. This is Santa Clara. So, like, it's Santa Clara's California, right? Mm-hmm. So this is just your typical Californian, to be honest. Like, they all dress up like cape shit characters. Like, and oh god, like, I don't dislike comic book characters. Honestly, I grew up on them, but like, it's like, I mean, I have a Captain America shirt, but it's sad to see. Like, that makes me like want to completely disassociate with all that shit. But I don't think that I don't know. It's just it's laughable. Like that morning, this guy was like, I'm going to go to the city council and give him a piece of my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go as Batman.
A Batman that leaves fingerprints.
Yeah, a Batman that leaves fingerprints. A Batman that goes to the state to like appeals to the state to get things done as opposed to doing it himself. Yeah. Of course he's not going to, because he would get arrested for even attempting it. But yeah, I just thought I would open with that. That's an old video from like it would have been relevant last week, but last week we had to roll for initiative. So I figured this week we'll do this. So this is like how like geeks that are completely disconnected from reality because they live in their world of like, you know, I guess let's say distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not able to compartmentalize like what they do for leisure time and the real world, and they like those things overlap. This is an example of that. I mean, it's not like, you know, there's a couple of guys that go to city council meetings to troll them or to sort of like highlight an issue. I'm sorry, my heater just came on, so you might have some background noise. I apologize for that. Just like see, this is not being picked up. Like Alex Stein, for example, he would like go dressed up. You know, he might dress in drag. He might dress up like something obnoxious to like basically troll the city council on something like you know children's books that have like trans ideology in them or something, right? There's a couple of other guys that will do things like this too. But this doesn't have the point of entertaining people. He's not trying to make us laugh. He's not even trying to do a Batman impression.
Right.
He's just a guy that's angry in a Batman costume.
Right.
An ill-fitting Batman costume, I might add. So it doesn't work the same way. It doesn't have like it's not even an attempt at comedy. You know, it's the same as people who identify as, you know, like if a furry showed up, if a guy in a furry suit showed up and he was like completely like, you know, normal otherwise, like he was just being a furry and he was up there making a political case, like it's a really good way to discredit whatever it is you're about to say immediately. You know, if I went to a city council meeting to speak up, I'd at least wear a suit or a collared shirt because I want to be taken seriously if I'm trying to be taken seriously.
Yeah,
if you're trying to be funny, then be funny. You know, it's like decide. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
it's almost like these guys get their marching orders from late night talk show hosts that also don't know like when it's time to be funny and when it's time to be serious. So
right. The sad thing is like in this post-parody world, it seems because we are well beyond parody at this point. You can't even make fun of anything in a way that is actually more hilarious than the events that kind of motivate them at this point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is sadly, I think that as I sit here in 2026, I would not be surprised if by 2050 there's not some kind of subsect brony party. As you're mentioning, the furry showing up. I mean, I think that unfortunately we live in that world. It seems where that's not on the table.
There are people who should probably be in, you know, like an asylum or something, getting help that are not. They're just allowed to like walk around like normal. So
that's right.
Anyway, so it's a wild world that we're living in. But I just thought I would share that. Let's get some thoughts from you guys in the comments, and then we're going to move on to the actual stories. I just wanted to open up with that because I thought it was funny. Okay, Norwegian Black Templar says, "Swear to me." I thought the same thing when I was like, this guy's he's not giving like I am the knight, you know, because he's kind of like, you guys gotta do something, and he's wearing like stop it, you know. Robert Johnson says, I normally argue that the quality of an argument stands independently from the innate qualities of the source, but I'm willing to make an exception. That's good. Norwegian says, Arkham Asylum called an inmate who thinks he's the Batman recently escaped. Let's see. Norwegian says, also, Batman is the last person these people would want to protect their streets. He'd give every child trafficker a knuckle sandwich. Yeah. And then Robert Johnson says, is Vermin Supreme still around, or has he kicked the bucket? No, he's still around. Yeah, Vermin Supreme is a good example of what I'm talking about. Like, no, he's funny, obviously never going to get elected, unserious, but funny. He wears, you know Vermin Supreme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he wears a fucking, isn't it like a galosh on his head? Like,
yeah.
What is it when you have galoshes and you only have one of those? Is it just a galosh?
I suppose.
Or is it just half a pair? Like, what do you call that? Anyway, let us know what you guys think about Batman in the comments. And which is the best Bat? Who did it the best? Is it Michael Keaton? Is it George Clooney? Is it Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, or this guy? Just let us know in the comments. Or Robert Pattinson. I heard he played Batman too. All right, anyway. So first real story. HBO has announced they're going to be doing a live-action TV show based on Baldur's Gate 3 on February 6th, 2026. That's when they announced it. It's a continuation set right after the events of the game Baldur's Gate 3, dealing with the aftermath. The show will feature both new protagonists and returning characters from the game, some as heroes, villains, or other powerful figures who interact with the new leads. No word yet about bear sex, but it is HBO. Craig Mazin, co-creator and showrunner of The Last of Us. So the guy who created The Last of Us TV show is the one working on this. Giant red flag. Will create, write,
there will be bear sex.
Say what?
There will be bear sex.
Yeah, probably, yes. Exclusively produce and run the series. It's developed with Hasbro Entertainment, and Chris Perkins from Dungeons & Dragons is consulting. Larian Studios, the developers of the game, has no involvement. Here's the key. So here I'm showing this is the announcement visual they used. So the fan reactions to this are mixed. Some are excited about the track record. So people who like The Last of Us show are excited about this product. Others are basically concerned about the canonizing one version of the story, because Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that has multiple endings, and so in order for them to do something that takes place after that, there would have to be a decision on how the game ended for the show to continue. This is the same thing that people are saying about Fallout, the TV show, is that because it takes place after Fallout, they're upset about, I guess, the fact that there have been decisions made about what the actual canon ending for Fallout is, or at least like Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. I have no idea. But this is generally a problem or a challenge that anyone has when they're adapting a video game into like a show or a movie, especially if it's a game that has where story is like a big part of it. Like you adapt Super Mario and nobody cares because Super Mario is a game that isn't supposed to be, like, no one's following the lore closely on that. It's not that important, or Minecraft for that matter. But this, these games, they have the story's a big part of it. Like if somebody, they've been talking about doing a Metal Gear movie.
Yeah, that's what I was.
What?
In the fact that's exactly where my mind went as soon as you started talking about the adaptations. And it's like, yeah, I dread for the day when they actually make the Metal Gear movie, because
exactly.
Yeah, and that's a fairly straightforward narrative in terms of its construction. You unlock, more of the story as you go through, whereas something like Fallout or Baldur's Gate here is a little bit more based on character involvement or player involvement, driving all the action forward and the way things kind of happen, on the story beats. But I don't know. I know with Fallout, there's some stuff that's kind of, you can infer certain things, and there are definitely connections on stuff that happened in the previous games, but there's been enough time that's kind of lapsed since what happened in the story in that geographical location. It's been like 15 years since the stuff that happened in New Vegas, roughly, in their series. And yeah, there's probably some stuff where you could assume and infer a few things, but it's all done with enough kind of balance that I don't see why people are even getting up in arms over that. Like, if you are going to have to do an adaptation at some point in time in a passive medium, you're going to have to make those decisions, where that's part of the reason, like, I've been having this conversation with people about Fallout specifically, is the way that you interact with the game is not the same way as you interact with passive media like film
Absolutely.
or television. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to at least allow some level of distinction between this isn't the way the game played when I played it. It's like, yeah, it's because it was all based on you making decisions. The guy sitting next to you feels the exact same way, and he has a completely different run through experience, probably depending on how many times they played it. Like that's kind of the great thing about games like that allow you to kind of go back and play again, try different combinations of skills and abilities and what the hell ever, and just wherever your journey takes you, it could be different for all of us. Like there's certain beats in there that will have a commonality to them, but the way in which they're laid out and all that kind of structuring, things like that, that's why you can't be too declarative. And and it works for something like Fallout in the sense that the way that the world is set up, it's pretty easy to believe that most people would only have parts of the overall picture of the puzzle, and so what they understand from their experience might not be the same thing as the people over here who have different access to resource information might have and know about it. And it just kind of it's revealing itself over time and going even deeper into the lore than the stuff that was there, but doesn't undermine it really. I don't know. I find the Fallout series, as far as adaptations go, I think it's probably the most good faith effort that's been done with an adaptation work in for gaming properties. And as far as I can recall, I haven't watched the Twisted Metal.
I watched season 1 of Twisted Metal, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've heard some fairly decent things about that.
It was fun. I mean, the thing is, some games, their premise is so ridiculous that you just like, well, look, guys, if you try to take this too seriously, it's gonna be garbage. So you just lean into the ridiculousness, and Twisted Metal is ridiculous. Like it's a silly. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like those movies. I only saw the first one. Those movies are huge, and I think the main reason is because the people who made it, they were like, why are we can't take this too seriously. This is a ridiculous premise. We're just gonna lean into it. And that's how you have success. So I think Twisted Metal did do that. The first season was good, I thought. But I mean, like, again, even the canon of the games doesn't make sense.
Right.
David Jaffe, he was responsible for most of those games. And I think he was constantly like changing things around, like the characters would be different. And it was like he was trying to reinvent it every time. It was sort of like in, let's say, I don't know, it's like it's like James Bond, okay? So like James Bond movies, they don't really follow like a thread all the way through. They're treated like they're in their own little world. Sometimes there's a little bit of overlap. For example, Jaws, as a Bond henchman, he reappears multiple times, but it's not like they're following it to the letter. Even Blofeld, who is one of Bond's nemesis, is played by different actors. They look really different too, right?
Yeah.
Like there was Donald Pleasance, who's the best Blofeld, but then there was like some other guy who had like a goatee and like dark hair, and then there was later on you got like the guy from Inglourious Bastards playing him, Inspector. So I think when Jaffe was doing Twisted Metal, he had the same thing where like Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal 1 were maybe like kind of close, but then Twisted Metal Black was like completely different because it was like new characters, new drivers, and new origin stories. And even Calypso, who was the main villain, was like a different looking dude. Like, I'm not sure it was the same guy or not, but they don't really make that clear, right? And so yeah, I mean, for the show, it wasn't like they were there was much to draw from, so they just picked from, I think mostly from Black, because I think Black was probably like the best Twisted Metal game overall, in my opinion. I mean, I played a lot of 2 though. I played a lot of 2, but yeah, like I think that depending on what you're adapting, like Mortal Kombat also has a ridiculous premise too.
Right.
So when they made the Mortal Kombat movie, the one from the 90s, they were just like, okay, let's just play it straight, because you know we can't just like, we can't make some like philosophical thing out of it, and maybe that's not what video game adaptations should be anyway. I mean, some, like if they're deep, like if you do Metal Gear and you play it straight, there's probably some things you can really get into there, but maybe like that sort of like deeper stuff should be left up to directors that have visions that are doing something on their own, like a David Lynch or like a Martin Scorsese or, you know, whoever, right? So yeah, I mean, I think that there's room for both of those things, like the silly stuff and the deep stuff.
Yeah. No, I would say the same thing. But yeah, in terms of all these recent adaptations, though, yeah, I find that, you know, certain things do more often than not are generally either they try to take things they play things too safe, or almost adhere too much to certain kind of, you know, lines that they won't cross, everything like that. But and then there's complete and utter departures, and I don't know that either of those is really the best way to go. You know, like if you are adapting something, there should be some kind of I think good faith to try to retain as much of the essence or the aura, the vibes, whatever the kids would call it these days, of that thing. And if you have to make a few shifts on, you know, like where certain locations are, or this or that, things like that are just kind of superficial details. Yeah, you know, that happens all the time, from game to game. Even that's why when people do talk about the sanctity of the storyline of Fallout, it's like, you guys do know that they change shit around from game to game. Like there's, you know, the map of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 overlap some of the exact same ground, and there are things that are shifted from Fallout 1 to Fallout 2, and it's just kind of, you know, that's
and also, you know, as if there's like massive gaps in time, it could like be, you could explain how those changes happen. Right. You know, like if you have like a century passes, you really think the landscape's going to look exactly the same? Like, you know, but I don't know. So my thoughts on this, I want to give my thoughts on Baldur's Gate. So, I'm not, I guess if he's, because when he adapted The Last of Us, okay, he did The Last of Us. He basically did The Last of Us as it was in the game. So, like it or hate it. I mean, obviously the casting of Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal.
That was a choice.
That was a choice, but I don't know if that was his choice.
Yeah.
So he could be relatively true to the source material, but I do have some problems with the source material. Right. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 on my free time. I'm currently like still, I think I just started Act 2. I'm not really sure, but I'm getting close to it. I just take my time with these things, and I only put like you know, maybe a few minutes in a day, like 20 minutes or so, and then I got to go do something else. And there's a couple things that I hope they don't do, but I doubt that they won't. So number one, the moral relativism. There's a lot of that in this game. I think these are things that people overlook because they think that, you know, like it's realistic for characters to have like a lot of nuance to them. And I get that, but there's also like another side to it, which is that you create a scenario where there's no like clear good or evil. And the problem with that is in Dungeons and Dragons specifically, there's an entire cosmology built around concepts of good, evil, law, and chaos. Right. They're like they're the DNA of the game.
Blocks.
Yeah. The cosmology of the game is that those paradigms, those axioms exist. Like there are dimensions outside of the material plane, which is the plane that we occupy. that are influencing us. It's a really, really well thought out thing that Gary Gygax put in there, who himself was Christian. So he was looking at this from that worldview of like, you know, we're affected by spiritual forces outside, right? There's like constant, and that's actually a central part of Baldur's Gate 3 to an extent, because when you start the game, like there's like creatures from outside of the material plane that end up on the material plane. Like there's like a war in hell that's like it's called the Blood War, and it's like eternal, like demons and devils fighting for dominance constantly with the daemons, which are like the sort of centrist demons. And they're sort of manipulating both sides, right? So, and then you have like the anyway, I'm not going to get all into it, but the point is the moral relativism is something I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3. I think that there should be more like well-defined, you know, right and wrong. And I don't know, I feel like with HBO and this guy, they're probably going to go that route. And you can see some of that stuff in The Last of Us as well, where, you know, The Last of Us Part 2 specifically. The Last of Us Part 1 was actually very well done and straightforward. And I'll always praise it as a really good game with a really good story. But The Last of Us Part 2 went completely like off the rails. And I think that's because Heather Haying wasn't involved with Last of Us Part 2. She was involved with Last of Us Part 1. Right. But Neil Druckmann was essentially in charge of that story. And he has this kind of like, I think it ultimately like an idea that there is no good or evil is nihilistic. And I think he has a nihilistic idea about the world. And he was putting that in the game, which is to say, oh, you know, revenge is bad because and like nobody deserves to be happy. And you just feel like, you know, hollow. I don't own Last of Us Part 2, but I did do a playthrough with a guy from the Badger server, Mike J. And as it was we were going through it, I was like, this is awful. Like I don't like anyone in this game. Like that was the thing. Like you're not rooting for anybody. You don't like any of the characters. They kill the one guy that was good. They kill Joel right away. And you know, and then like after that, everybody's shit. And I'm like, well, this is they're like engaging in that. So that in terms of going back to Baldur's Gate 3, that's one thing I don't like. The other thing is the dialogue of the game. It's like millennial dialogue. Like everyone is snarky. Everyone talks. It's like Joss Whedon dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I hope that they don't do that. And why is it everyone speaks with like a Cockney accent or like almost like a, you know, like a, I don't know, like a, what do you call it? It's like an English accent that's like not really posh, and everyone talks like that. Like the goblins, everyone, you know. And so I don't like that either. I hope that they diversify the way that people communicate. I hope that the writing is like lifted up a little bit, because I don't like the way that is, and I don't like the moral relativism. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's still a long ways off, but those are my thoughts on that. Hooligan accent. Yeah, I think that's it. So anyway, John, you're getting a shout out by Toasty.
Indeed. Hey,
do you have anything that you want to say about it?
You know, I played some Neverwinter Nights back in the day.
Ooh, yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah. Can't say that I've really played too much. I haven't played any of Baldur's Gate 3, so you know, as far as that goes, I won't really be able to be like, oh, this sticks it directly to it or anything like that. You know, I wasn't too into the idea of having bear sex at the time the game came out, and I have money that I need for groceries. But given who you know is involved in this production, where it's going to end up and everything like that, I'm not going to hold out any high hopes for this. You know, I'm hoping at best it'll just be something that just kind of happens, and it will appeal to the audience that it's actually made for, and it'll be done with some measure of good faith, and not trying to use this as a vehicle or a platform to talk about, you know, the world of now. But yeah. I don't even have high hopes in that regard. But thankfully, this isn't going to be one of those things that, you know, this isn't going to be like taking my firstborn from me or anything like that. It'll just kind of be like, oh, it's kind of par for the course the way these things go. So I don't know. I don't trust HBO. To begin with, number one, and the people that were involved with The Least of Us, as I prefer to call it. are certainly not the people that I would hire to do anything. And if that's what they're considering, what a successful adaptation looks like, with the way that has been handled, and continues to be, or they actually stop. I think there's one season left that they're doing, right? A season 3, and I think that then that's the end of this.
Oh yeah, there's one more, The Enclave.
Well, no. Fallout's indefinite. It's definitely got at least. one more
I'm sorry. I'm.
But
what's the thing that's got one more
Least
season?
of Us.
Not?
Yeah,
The Last of Us. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's watching anymore. Once they kill Joel, the
interest kind of dried right the fuck up.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the games.
Ratings plummeted, just like the games. Yeah, exactly.
So and that's kind of the way that I look at this whole thing. Is it's just play out kind of, par for the course under those standards. So it's unfortunate, but
it is what it is.
Yep.
All right. Well, let me know what you guys think about the Baldur's Gate 3 film. They're not going to call it Baldur's Gate 3. They're going to call it something else. Probably just Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And when I was like young, I really wanted like D&D to be turned into something cool, like a show or a movie. And now I really don't. I think it's fine where it is. You couldn't possibly replicate the experience of playing it at a table with friends anyway. No medium, not even video games, could like substitute that.
Right.
But anyway, I'm gonna read some of your comments and then we're gonna move on to the next thing. So Master Goa sent us a super chat. Thank you, Master Goa, for $10. Woo! But awesome, man. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna give you a sound for that one.
Amazing.
And he says, I watched a vid on my fave anime Gasaraki. Some liberal is butthurt that the show is right-wing, so he made a vid, Mecha and Bread Prices. I was deeply amused at how he hated the show for its politics. I've never seen Gasaraki. Does anyone else know what that show is? Also, what makes it right-wing, or is that just a claim that this person is making? Because it seems to me that when people say this thing is right wing, it usually means it's normal.
Right. It's full of common sense and
it's got like normal stuff in it. Like they say Warhammer is right wing, right? And I think they do it as a pejorative, but it's a story that takes place in the far future where there's only war, and in that environment, that's what you're gonna have, like people like establishing hard line like law and order to prevent themselves from being corrupted or killed or annihilated by their enemies. But anyway, they said the same thing about Helldivers 2, for example, where they're like, well, like they're secretly the bad guys. Oh yeah, you want to live with the bugs or the automatons,
right?
Do you want to get turned into like a flesh mob by the Illuminate? Maybe they're not.
Right.
So anyway, Robert Johnson says an animated series might have worked for Baldur's Gate 3 adaptation, but even it would have been a bad idea. Salt Peter Taffy says Kevin Conroy. Yes, that is the best Batman. You are right. No one's gonna be like that. But I maybe this Batman that was at the conference that spoke there at the council, he might be. Nah, I think George Clooney was better. He was the worst of them, but he was better than that guy. All right. Robert Johnson then says, it's not like they don't have almost unlimited scope within the D&D universe to do creative things with the narrative and lore. Why take a dump on Baldur's Gate? Yeah, well, they could. Yes, you're right. D&D is like humongous. It's essentially effectively infinite possibilities. But I think that Baldur's Gate, the show, is going to be what they've been doing with these adaptations is they're trying to like court a larger audience because they think that there are people who watch TV that don't play games, and so they're broadening the audience. So they got to make it appealing to those people. Now, I'm not sure that this has actually like been, let's say, good for them to do, because I don't like. Usually, it's the diehards that go check it out. But I understand that, for example, the Fallout show did reach a bunch of people that don't play the games. I even ran into my neighbor, this woman who lives downstairs, and she happened to mention that she was gonna watch Fallout, and I was like, oh, I've been watching that, and she was like, oh my god, it's so good, and she's like gushing about it. And I was like, did you play the game? She was like, nah, I didn't play the games. So it was like her first and only experience with it was the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like that's what they're trying to get, and with with D&D, that would be a thing that's good to do, but only if you do it. I think it needs to be more authentic, and I think the problem is that everything is like it's all like Critical Role stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm expecting. Or remember that movie with Chris Pine, the D&D movie? Does anyone remember that?
Vaguely, I remember the memes.
It
blacked out face.
It wasn't terrible, but it was forgettable, and that's what I'm saying. Like this could have been cool, but they again, it had that millennial humor in it, and it was like the way it was written, the dialogue. I hated that. Like, why is it every Christmas, every time winter comes around, everyone who is anyone boots up Lord of the Rings to watch it again, but nobody watches the D&D movie, and they're both fantasy films. So like, it's because the Lord of the Rings movies takes itself at least authentically enough that they're like trying to tell this story in like a really earnest way, and they may throw in there's like definitely stuff in those movies that are not in the books, and there's stuff in the books that didn't make it into the movie, but
what
at least like trying to get the feeling of it right. But like the D&D movie is a little bit too like OMG so random, and the problem with that is that it doesn't have any like staying power, because it's going to be like the language that's being used is not going to like be around in like 5 years, but like the way that they talk in Lord of the Rings is like, well, yeah, it's already really foreign, so we're all just like enraptured by it. So
yeah, it's kind of like how you're able to watch Star Trek from
the
60s all the way through to the late 90s, early 2000s, right after
like
Enterprise,
Deep Space One and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they all speak in a very kind of this is Star
Deep
Trek,
Space Nine,
experience. But then like these new things are just complete bullshit. They're more casual in their conversations than we are, and we're just a couple dudes talking on the internet on a Saturday morning, and they're supposed to be Starfleet, and we tend to seem to try to actually be a little bit more I guess direct in what we're saying. I mean, but also the setting. We have more reason to be snarky, what the hell ever, because we're actually here in reality, and stuff like Star Trek specifically is so detached from this space. But I think the difficulty that happens, going back to the comment that kind of started this little thought line, is the marketing. It's looking at things solely from a branded mindset, because a lot of the people that are making these decisions, they don't really have any connections to these games, and I think that this is the failing of the dinosaur media to a degree, is that I think that they believe that they're still the tastemakers so much that they can take something that has existed previously with all this stuff, this fandom, deep lore, and everything like that, and they can just rewrite it as they see fit, and that's going to become the thing that people just go along with now, because and that's when they infuse it with all this modernity and let's talk about now instead of this thing that you actually thought that you wanted to see. We're going to make it about what's happening right outside your front door and all the stupid bullshit that surrounds you that you look to escapism to avoid, but we're going to make it about that, so it's sad. And unfortunately, they underestimate their audience, because this is the real reason why I think that it fails, is that, pattern recognition is the skill building that you get from playing video games. And a lot of us that are now, in our 30s, 40s, even older, and especially, because gaming's been part of our cultural landscape now for like 50 years, So that's a pretty big cross section of people that you can go and say, all right, well, this is something that we can hinge on as being a viable base of operations for creating new media properties, or at least adapting these existing works. But because they still have this weird mindset that somehow, passive media controls the audience, it generally fails, because we can see through the bullshit, and if it's not done in good faith and it's not actually done in a way that either furthers or reinforces what's already there, and if you're just going to try to use it as some kind of empty brand labeling to try to rope me into you telling me how I need to live my life here and now, compared to a situation that's generally very starkly different from anything I'll ever experience, I don't vibe with it. It's I'm never going to. So, but I think we're every once in a while we'll get these nice things that Fallout being done in good faith. Even something like Twisted Metal series kind of being done as actual escapism, and just going and saying, look, we can't be. This isn't going to be anything too sacred to anyone, even the people that know it. Let's just have a good time and make a thing, and not, as long as you don't infest it with a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense to the diegesis of the lore. That's all anybody's really ever asking for. But I don't think these people can help themselves from putting in their own idiosyncratic bullshit, and the things that they just think are, this is the way the world will benefit, because they're going to see what I've done with this, and it's going to just no, that's, people aren't looking for a profound experience from a TV series. If it happens, awesome, but that's not what people go in for. They just want some escapism, and if this thing actually kind of reinforces something that they kind of appreciate, either kind of does service to it by giving you a really blitzed up version of a scene that you're used to, or even expands on concepts that you've already kind of played around with in the past, that can be a really great thing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all you got to do is actually use the source material, and I think that in terms of source material, this is the other problem that they have, is that they don't actually think of that audience as source material. So you have to be true to them, honest with them, as well as the actual stuff that's in the story Bibles and things like that. And if you're not doing that, then you might as well not even do these things. Yeah.
All right. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We got to move on to the next thing. Let me just read some of your comments here. So Master Girl was trying to communicate something. I'll just go to the bottom of his thing. He says, just Googled it to be sure of something. Drew Straley left Naughty Dog after directing The Last of Us 1. His departure is the downfall of Naughty Dog. Without him, Druckmann runs too wild. Yeah, I think the first sign of that was the DLC for The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
I think it was them trying to change the canon of the story with that. Because before that, Ellie was not at all sexual. She was 12 or something, 14. And then Straley leaves, and then they release the DLC. I forget what it's called, doesn't matter, but where she makes out or kisses a black girl. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Immediately. And it just tells me something about
Druckmann.
It's a bit of a Druckmann thing, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of I kind of want to see if Druckmann is in the files, is what I'm saying. I'm curious about that, but
with as much as a pole climber as he seems to be,
we'll get to that in a bit. But okay, let's move on to the next thing. Before we get into it, though, I want to talk a little bit about Fallout, because I did say I was going to talk about it in the So. Look, so far, I mean, I've watched both seasons. Did you finish the second season?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're actually planning on, I'm going to be watching them again here fairly soon. Starting next Thursday, we're going to start doing some weekly reviews, episode on Thursdays over on Toasty's channel. So, yeah.
So, so if you haven't watched the show, like I said, it's not bad, but I have one nitpick. and it's this character right here, the person on the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman, but I think it's a woman. That
This is the one character that the only thing I ever hear about the show in terms of people going, Toasty she started, I got her to start watching a couple weeks back, and this is the only thing that, and even when I watch, I'm just kind of like, is it supposed to be like, is it supposed to be a dude?
Every time that person's on screen, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It always seems like there's this like, and I don't know if it's just the shading of the skin above their lip, but it's like it looks like the faintest of mustaches. But
yes,
also
it's like dirt on the upper lip, but it's supposed to be a mustache, but it's like starting to come in. Yes, Toasty says the girl taking hormones. Yeah, so this, I don't know if there was something in the contract. I don't know if there was something they had to do, because it's like everything else about the show in terms of the casting and who they got is stuff I like. Hell, they got the guy from Twin Peaks to be in it, and he's playing a major role too.
Tom McLaughlin is awesome in Fallout.
Yeah, and I like Lucy. She's very likable. Like I like that character. And yeah, there's some diversity, but I've been playing New Vegas, and there is like a lot in the game too. Like there are female soldiers and stuff. So it's just like whatever. I'm not gonna freak out about that too much.
Yeah.
But this, and the thing, the irony is this. Okay, so this character is named Dane, right? I'm pretty sure the character's name. So the black guy on the left, his name is Maximus, and he starts off as a squire for the Brotherhood of Steel, and he ends up going on like a bunch of misadventures where he sort of stumbles through everything and basically gets out barely alive from one mishap after another.
Idiots.
So it's not really like a power fantasy or anything. Yeah, I wouldn't say a complete loser, but he's definitely like not doing well in this game, in this story. I call it the game almost. And he has this person who's like his, I guess, like a buddy. Okay. And I'm just gonna say she.
Yeah.
Her real name is Zelia Mendez Jones. Zelia Mendez Jones, hyphenated last name, by the way. I'm wondering if that's like also like a red flag when you see hyphenated last names on trans people. I'm just saying,
yeah.
I think it kind of hyphenated last name.
Right.
Mom didn't want to take the name. Now they're trans. I'm just saying, like, there's something there that's kind of weird. But anyway, Zelia Mendez Jones is a British actor with he, they pronouns. Yes, they are saying they are a he, they. Best known for playing Dane, a young member of the Brotherhood of Steel, and a non-binary character in the Prime Video series Fallout. It's a trans man, and calls himself your local trans guy in her Instagram bio, and has been vocal about her pronouns and identity. Half Indian heritage, raised in London, and stands about 5'10". I wonder if that's another thing too. Like, how many people who are mixed also struggle with their identity? And I mean, I hate to bring that up because, I mean, technically as a Puerto Rican, I'm mixed. Like, Puerto Ricans are a mix. They're not like one thing. But it's weird. So apparently this actress has been in 3 things that she's known for. Fallout is the thing where they, I guess, put them on the map. The Wheel of Time, which I'm not interested in watching, and is something called Havoc. So, which is an action film alongside Tom Hardy, and they have done. She's also done modeling work and appeared in smaller projects. So, and like, okay, let me just ask. Doesn't the Brotherhood of Steel like want to wipe out abominations? Isn't that one of the things that happens in the show? Is they see the ghouls and like they're abominations, they're not children, and that was like the isn't this an abomination? Like how are they recruiting this thing? Like everyone's just pretending that's a man, I guess. Like and I'm watching the show, and yeah, they're not like a big character, right?
Right.
But it's a bit of a supporting character, maybe like a 3rd tier character that you'll see. I don't know, like maybe 15-20% of the time.
Yeah.
Huh?
They show up every few episodes, but
Yeah,
it's
they'll
always
show up every few episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's always a tertiary kind of like you're not focused on them. They just are in the background of certain scenes because of the setting. So yeah, it's, I don't know. When I watch it, because at first I was like, is this supposed to be a dude or what? You know what? This seems like a chick. I'm getting chick vibes off this. So it's
Totally
some
a chick.
chick who's just decided that I'm gonna try to masculinize myself as much as possible because I'm here in the Brotherhood. That's the way that I was like, and if that's the biggest issue that I have with this, and I can kind of, in a 5-minute kind of consideration with myself, kind of put it to bed and just be like, you know what, as long as they don't completely go off course and try to make this about shit happening right now, I can live with a character that's kind of ambiguous, whatever, because it's a crazy world space to begin with, and but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, well that is a male character, clearly. No, it's a female, so this is a woman, so the character at least in my watching of it is just a woman who has just completely imbued themselves in the Brotherhood culture, and is ultimately, because there's even a thing in there about in the first season where Maximus even kind of gets his opportunities because this character kind of forgoes what would have otherwise been their opportunities, and the way that they kind of go about it is kind of feminine, to be quite honest. It's like sometimes you just have to sack up and just kind of take the situation as it is. That's men's stuff. Women on the other hand will do some pretty extreme things to kind of avoid disappointments or try to prevent themselves from feeling lesser or whatever. I don't know. This character is the only kind of thing that sticks out as if anybody was going to go and say, well, there's this, and I'm having trouble.
Yeah, it's definitely like a black mark on an otherwise decent show. Like it's, and that's it. Like I just want that character to get killed off, and then I'll be able to relax. But they probably won't do it because of their identity. This is the thing; it's a trap, right?
Well,
here's this character, you can't kill it unless it dies in a super noble way. You just have to live with it now.
Here's the thing that I will say: if having this one character keeps the rest of the production safe to actually kind of do things and keep all the fucking various people that would otherwise stick their nose into the affairs of the production at bay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do it with a third tier character that I don't really even have to pay too much attention to, and fine, I suppose it's 2026. We're not going to be able to get away from this stuff entirely because we still live in the checkboxing of productions. You have to have this many people for this. If you want to qualify for awards or anything like that, there are certain, they put it there. They just they turn it all into something that can be objectified rather than looked at with legitimate, subjectivity as to, does this make sense in the thing that we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is a weird blemish in an otherwise pristine kind of production.
Well, yes, absolutely. Let us know what you guys think about that in the comments. So otherwise, like I said, I finished it. The season, it was okay. Toasty says, wait, how is that thing trans when there isn't any hormones in the show? Shh.
Right.
You're asking too many important questions.
That's right. Toasty, don't ask them to explain things that we don't really want to explain.
Yeah,
it's like I said,
they're not. You could just call it like a mutation from radiation, but that would make them an abomination that should be killed by the Brotherhood. That's what I'm saying. Like, this doesn't make, it's so immersion breaking. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's completely anachronistic to the setting. It's just like when they did Dragon Age, the Veil Guard, and they had that one character come out as non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was so immersion breaking. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why? It's like wheelchair bound adventurers in D&D. Why? Like, we live in a world where there is healing magic, right? Like, literally, clerics in D&D, when Gary Gygax designed what they do, it was based on the miracles that Jesus Christ did on people, like healing the blind, healing the sick, healing the lame, etc. And they have magic for that the world is based on, but they want cripples in the game because crippled people might want to see themselves.
That's right.
Didn't they put like some Down syndrome character in a Call of Duty game too recently? Or maybe it was just a meme I saw. But there's like, yes, it just doesn't make sense. We're gonna get to more of this too. You know, when we talked about Star Trek Starfleet Academy last week, there were like obese people with like mental issues that were like, you know, crewing the crew members on a ship. And I was like, how is this possible? In order for you to be able to qualify to do that, you couldn't be obese and retarded. You couldn't be that because you wouldn't be able to do the job. Like, what is this doing? So yeah, no, it's completely immersion breaking that there will be a character that is confused about their gender and then get into a military organization like the Brotherhood of Steel. Like that's the thing. But again, I get it. It's just the politics of the day, but I think it's ridiculous. That's all. All right. Speaking of ridiculous, let's talk about Horizon Hunters. Horizon Hunters. There's more to the name here. I'm already forgetting it. Yeah, Guerrilla Games has announced Horizon Hunters Gathering. That's what it is. On February 5th. It is a cooperative action game in the Horizon universe for PS5 and PC. So this is sort of like a live service game like Helldivers 2. Up to 3 players team up as hunters, pick from a roster of unique characters, heroes, with different classes and builds, and then head out to hunt massive machines in tactical third-person combat. It draws from Monster Hunter-style hunts, but with a vibrant, colorful art style, dynamic effects, bold palettes, and more stylized look than the main series' realistic vibe. No release date yet, just coming soon, but there is a player test that's going to be starting at the end of this month, so some people will probably put out some footage of this. It's another Concord, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Let's look at the trailer for it really quick, and I will show you all. So...
Hi everyone, I'm Jan Bart van Beek. I'm the studio director here at Guerrilla. Now at Guerrilla, we love exploring the Horizon universe. And with every new project, we ask ourselves...
Hold on, this is a little bit too long. I want like a peek at the gameplay and stuff.
You are looking at effectively 90% of the testosterone on the development team, though, I believe.
Yeah, like the team is like mostly women.
It is so yeah, it's got to smell like a summer's eve. Feel like commercial in there when you go into the office these days.
They were the Guardians.
Yeah, I'm just lowering it so you can talk over it if you want to.
Yeah, they have made some stylistic choices in here. I did notice when Alloy seemingly slimmed down, they're kind of going back to a more cartoony version of that first character model, rather than, you know, the fat face.
well, yeah, that's what we're gonna see. So they're gonna show the heroes because that's where it all is.
Yeah, I think it should be happening.
I tried to play the first Horizon. I got bored. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Remember when these guys made Killzone?
Right?
Look at this guy. Is that like an Aboriginal? Is that what that is?
I suppose that's kind of the vibe they must be going for.
Yeah. Afro Samurai over here.
Right.
Oh yeah, this one. Look, this character is. What is this hair? Okay, wait. Well, you'll see.
That is a trans
flag. You see that? Oh, let's see that again. Oh my God! I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay.
And mercenaries
Now, just in the diegesis of the world, are they really capable of making hair look like that? That involves first bleaching and then dyeing.
Yeah. No,
So-
these are this is the thing. Like, we're not allowed to have questions about how this exists.
Right.
And here's the thing too. Not only is she massively overweight, but she's somehow like really like athletic because she's like running and dodging
on
spears and shit.
legs. Yeah.
And she has a peg leg, which suggests diabetes. I'm just saying. I'm
Give 'em a
bored
girth.
just from watching the trailer. It's like, what? Oh my god, dude! Like this. Will these people learn? Is there like another character? we're gonna see
No,
that's-
they will never learn. They will just piss and moan and bitch and complain while their employment benefits run out that they were done wrong by the patriarchy.
Wow, look, have you
Okay,
noticed that it's
all right.
like a lot of women? a
Yeah.
lot of female characters in this?
With rainbow hair.
Yeah. This is yeah, this is like Tarzan and shit.
Right.
And legends. Looking for one last shot.
Don't want to be ageist. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. A guy with a big hammer in like a
Right.
hero-oriented
Never.
game.
Never.
That's completely unique.
Those who need it most. Made up of the greatest hunters in the land. This is Hunter's Gathering.
So anyway, that's the character roster right there.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's dead in the water, in my opinion. We'll get to that in a second. So, all right, Hunter's Gathering. The gameplay again, it's sort of like it's a live service game like Monster Hunter or Helldivers 2. And they're doing the Horizon universe. I don't know why they're so committed to this. I don't know if the Horizon games are all that profitable. They did the Horizon Lego game. I'm pretty sure there's like some kind of Horizon mobile game out there, and then there were like the two main games. So what is this? Yeah, it's basically like a co-op, PvE hero based like game. So kind of generic. It's Concord it's Concord 4 apparently. Like we've done this many times already. So I just wanted to like share that and John, I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, but and plus it's a PlayStation exclusive, so
Right.
that's even worse for it because like I don't think people are gaming on that console anymore. So I mean they have an audience, but it's not as big as it used to be.
Right, very true. I remember probably I guess about 15 years ago now, when they were finishing up or when they were in the process of developing the first game in the series. And I was like, all right, we got some robotic dinosaurs here. Seems kind of, whatever. Guys at Gorilla, sure, all right, it'll probably be a decent game, but I never got into it. Just I was like, I'm sure, and then
same. I tried. I mean, they gave it away for free
during COVID. Yeah,
So
and
I downloaded it.
Yeah, and
I got bored.
Yeah, and I can't remember if I even actually downloaded it or added it even to my library during that time when it was free. But I do know when I got my PS5, it came with a free copy of Zero Dawn, and I sure as shit before I even plugged my PS5 in, I gave that card to my nephew and said, "Here, if you or one of your friends plays this game, have at it, Haas. I don't want to jack shit to do with this thing." So, if you enjoy it, awesome. If you don't, I don't really care. I'm just getting rid of it, and if you don't take it, I'm just gonna throw this thing in the trash. Uh, and it seems like this is an even more watered down kind of experience to that. I'm not big into PvE kind of multiplayer games to begin with. Like I'll play with like maybe a certain group of people, but I'm not. This isn't really my thing. Number one, in terms of games, style or genre, and certainly the actual I guess story material, everything that I have absolutely no fucking interest in. Like this thing is. I certainly hope that that Sony isn't hinging their entirety of their future efforts on this one thing, which clearly they're not going to. But that would be a tragic mistake on their part if they were.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they might actually be like really sure that this is like the way forward, at least with this developer.
Well, I'm sure they're certain.
Yeah, and I think they're still getting that BlackRock money, just based on the roster and stuff. Like, how many of these? So we got 2 male characters. I think this boy this might be another one with the horns over here on the right. I think it is. I mean, I can't really tell. And then you have like, well, I guess it's 3 and 3 women, 3 men, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. None of this is speaking to me. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's just not really doing anything for me. All right, let me see what you guys are saying really quick. I did see some interesting comments. So Shadowclaw Prime says, Brian, Peter Wright wants to publish something I wrote, but I need to pick a pseudonym. Someone suggested Alex Sharp because it has the same intended meaning of this screen name. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's fine. I got a bot on Twitch asking me to go to their Discord. This is always happening, so I'm just going to ignore that. Toasty says, John is basically a white Puerto Rican since he's always streaming with us. Wait, do you stream with other Puerto Ricans? How come I'm not invited to your streams?
Yeah, Toasty's Puerto Rican. Dan,
I know Toasty's Puerto Rican. I know Hypnotic's Puerto Rican. I know that. Yeah, I guess
I'm the Puerto Rican white gringo.
Yeah, I have a couple of white friends that are basically Puerto Ricans. And I mean, I'm one of those Puerto Ricans that actually is patriotic. I'm not one of these Puerto Ricans that's like claiming that like, what's going on in our country is like something that's going to affect us. Like, no, we're Americans. Like, I don't know if you heard about what happened in the 50s, but we're Americans, guys. I mean, I call myself an American before I call myself a Puerto Rican, to be honest. Okay, so Gabriel says, I know a guy who was roommates with the Horizon mech artist in university. That's cool. He says, she's built different. He's talking about the big girl over here with the hook. I don't know what that is. Norwegian Black Templar says, I'm bored just from watching the trailer. Yeah, they're trying to do the Overwatch thing, and it's really obvious. That's what it is. They're trying to do the Overwatch thing. And it's really obvious. Like, not even though Marvel Rivals is kind of a ripoff of Overwatch, it still like looks like its own thing. This is just that. It's just Overwatch, or what's the other thing? League of Legends. Like that's what they're trying to get that audience. Valorant, League of Legends. What's the game with? It's like made by the developers of Titanfall. I know we talked about it on here before.
Highguard.
No, Highguard, yes, but there was another one before.
Apex.
Apex Legends, yeah. So, Fortnite. It's all that. It's all that, right? Robert Johnson says, sentences you will never hear. I can be a young Cornell West in the woods with a bow? Where do I sign up for this experience? It's Cornell
My
West.
brothers.
That's it right there. My brothers. What we need is to be communists.
Right.
I you know what? I'm willing to bet now that's not an accident. That's not. They're gonna release a Cornell West skin so that kids will be like, I want to know who this guy is. Anyway, Norwegian says, ironically, the more you try to be unique, the more bland you become. And Robert Johnson said, I'm seeing this referred to as Concord 4. Yes, it is. It is. All right. Oof. Okay. So thanks for the commentary on that stuff. We're gonna move on to the next topic, which I think it's time that we get into it, which is the Epstein list. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there is some gaming stuff with this, which I thought was really interesting. So the Department of Justice dropped over 3 million pages of Epstein-related documents on January 30th, 2026. As the final major release, at least they're calling it the final release. We don't know. There might be more under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. These include emails, tip reports, news clippings, and investigative notes. It's like over 3 million pages. So this is a lot of content, and that means it's like all over the place in terms of like how pertinent or important it is as well. Because if it's like every single piece, it could be like him ordering a Grubhub order or something. Although I don't think there's Grubhub on Lolita Island, but you never know, right? So anyway, mostly showing associations, communications, or mentions rather than new criminal evidence against named individuals. In the pertinent and creative industries, highlights include this. So you probably already know Jay-Z comes up a lot in the files, and he was Big Pimpin', as we know. Harvey Weinstein, yes. Pusha T, I don't know who that is. I guess a rapper of some kind.
Another rapper, yep.
Yeah, named in an archived FBI tip report, listed alongside other celebrities as potential points of interest. And we have former Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, or Kotick, how do you say it?
Kotick.
Yes.
Kotick, I believe, yeah.
Bobby Kotick, who was a former Activision Blizzard CEO, as part of his Epstein's broader outreach to tech and business executives. And broader entertainment ties show up in old clippings or guest lists, like Brett Ratner, the film director, who appeared again in connection with Epstein, but nothing groundbreaking beyond prior reports. No like major bombshells. There's a lot of like associations and stuff. There were some funny things that that I thought was really the funny was apparently he had a he had a Fortnite account.
Yep.
And he might have been responsible for microtransactions. He might have been the brain. So he was like fragging people on Fortnite, maybe. Like what else? He had a Microsoft account and it got banned for bullying and stalking or something like that.
Something to those regards. Yeah, it was against the safety standards.
Yeah. So now Epic Games is claiming, the developers of Fortnite, they're claiming that the account belonged to an unrelated player that changed their username to Little Saint Jeff 1 shortly after the files dropped and the username became public knowledge.
However, he's been evidently using this as his handle for a long ass time, and it's his
email. So I mean, like, there's a lot in here, and of course, this is the thing too. The sheer magnitude of this release of millions of sheets, which is like we're already talking about like making conclusions like within a day, which would mean they would have to read through like over 3 million pages of content to like come to these conclusions. And I think that there is a problem with this, is that it is a rife ground for spreading misinformation or trying to like direct, like if you have like a political bias against someone, you can like direct them, you know, and use these, if there's any associations, to like try to hurt people. And I think this is why when they said we're going to do this, they had to like take their time, because they were worried about people's associations, right? So, for example, if Jeffrey Epstein would go to parties and he would meet people at parties, if you happen to be at a party that he was at, which if you were like someone, that was like well-to-do, like you were like I don't know, like a tech billionaire or something, you might end up going to the same parties. You might even end up taking pictures with him or having a conversation with him, but it doesn't mean that you were on the island diddling kids. And so like this is a really difficult thing to talk about for people because they are rightfully, want justice to be done. But we have to like be very, very careful because like, it's so easy to like essentially falsely condemn people for things that they didn't do. And I think that this is like important that we stick to. I'm very much a pro due process guy, even for people I really don't like. I've been saying like ever since Me Too started and people were making accusations against Harvey Weinstein, I was basically like on his side for the most part because I didn't see anything illegal. I saw things that were immoral that I didn't, I wouldn't do, and I don't recommend. But like, if he's approaching a 19-year-old girl and saying, "I'll make you famous if you touch my penis," and then they do it, then like, I mean, I think it's shitty, but I don't think he should go to jail for that because she said okay, he offered, and she was of age, and in most of those cases, that's what it was.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying.
Like, penis for grocery money, So I said there are people who touch your penis for grocery money.
Yeah, or help with the rent or something.
Right. And so when you put that specter of fame and fortune there, women are completely capable of making their own decisions, rightly or wrongly, however they decide. They have those rights.
I think the language that they use to talk about this stuff is very important too, because I noticed that there are very few claims or accounts of underage people. They'll say young, but that doesn't mean underage. Like I think that a lot of the women were in their early 20s or late teens. And when I say late, I mean like 18, 19, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can say, I think that's shitty, I think it's gross, and I agree with you, but like they're adults. Like they made that choice. And it's no different from the casting couch or a woman starting an OnlyFans, which a lot of girls do. I think something like, I want to say something like 25% or so of girls between 18 and 34 have an OnlyFans account. Like they're already prostituting themselves for money.
Right.
I mean, most of them don't make any money, but that doesn't stop them from trying, So like, I'm just saying like, this is not a black and white issue. And it does take a lot of time and scrutiny and discernment to determine like, okay, what laws are being broken here and who's breaking them. But there are some people who are probably in real trouble, like Bill Gates. So
it does seem like he's having a rough week.
Bill Gates is not having a good time. Yes. And I'm here for that. Bill Clinton. And I think that Bill Clinton put out a statement very recently saying that he's going to like he basically is like siding with the release. He's like, I demand we release all the files. I'm gonna defend myself, but he's not in a good position either. Again, I still say innocent until proven guilty. At the end of the day, it could even be the case that Bill Clinton didn't break any laws. But I just want the truth, and I'm willing to like be patient enough to wait for it. And I'm not going to make any judgments until I know more, because, again, this is like, it's dark stuff. Prince Andrew. Like what did you find? Did you look into this at all? What are some things that stand out for you?
I mean, I haven't dove in to do my own investigative whatnot. I've just seen a lot of the stuff that other people are bringing to light from their own investigations into it and research. But for what I've seen, a lot of the stuff that's actually even being kind of brought into the light of day is stuff that, quite honestly, I've kind of known about for 5 to 10 years now,
Sure.
And so it's really interesting.
Well, since before probably he died,
Right.
definitely.
Because I mean, a lot of this
Died.
stuff is kind of died. Yes. Yeah. A lot of these things are kind of documents that have been out in open to some degree, some way, shape, or form during all this time. But I mean, for me, the one thing that I guess I can at least rest easy in knowing is that I'm not paranoid.
Yes.
The world is not only as bad as I might sometimes suggest, but probably even worse. And it's just given me more of a reason to kind of just focus on what's going on in my own immediate locus of control of how I operate, because I think that to get into the highest positions of power, there are compromises that people have to make along the way. And once you start compromising, it doesn't take too much bending to break that kind of standard that you hold to pass over into kind of a corrupted state. And once you're there, it's like, what do? You're just, it's kind of like you can't be later than late. There are certain thresholds that you cross that there's no going back from. And it's I mean, I don't know, the stuff in there about off-site birthing rings and things like that. So if this kid's never had a social security number, or even they're not even known to the world, secret pregnancies, babies being born.
I think that's entirely plausible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I covered a story years ago where a Islamic cult was found in New Mexico or something, I think, or Arizona. I can't remember which. And it was a little they made a little almost like a little fortress or little barracks. Mm-hmm. And basically there were two men and a bunch of women, and the women were just making babies.
Yep.
And then those babies were being raised to be soldiers.
Right.
So they were just making babies with these men for the sole purpose of turning them into soldiers for Islam. Okay. And I said I could see that. So, and when I learned that, it basically said, well, okay, so we know that there are people who will do for a certain cause, they will do things that we would mostly, at least culturally see as completely unnatural. And I think that there was another thing, that Oprah Winfrey uses a face cream or sells
the foreskin cream. I talk about it all the time. I make people
made out of foreskins, right?
Yeah.
And I think that they're South Korean foreskins too. So then I thought to myself, well, if we know they do that, why wouldn't we just assume that there are women who are paid to have babies that they then use for body parts? They just take the babies when they're born. I know that they do it in China. I know they harvest organs there, right? Why wouldn't they just have babies and be like, okay, I want the foreskin for this. I want the, these organs for this, and the adrenochrome or whatever, the stem cells. We're gonna basically turn them into a resource that we draw from. And I know it's sick, but I think that it happens because if you can conceive a bit, Charlie Murphy used to have this bit he did stand up for a little while. Mm-hmm. Charlie Murphy's Eddie Murphy's brother. Yep. He did this one joke where he said, we live on a planet of 7 billion, 8 billion people. There's so many people that you couldn't, if there's something you could think of, no matter how dark it is, somebody else has done it or is trying to do it.
Yep.
And so I think that this is entirely plausible. And if you're protected and you already have the people seeing the lives of the unborn as not really that valuable, then you're just encouraging that, right?
Right.
And so I think that the whole thing about making babies specifically as a form of livestock to use, I think that's totally going on. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I mean, the rings of power that are involved in this go back throughout all time in recorded history, and so these networks are well in place, and every generation, of course, they usher in new people and this and that, and it's just been going on forever, effectively, and so when you have that much access and ability to do things that were normally kept very clandestine and just kind of esoteric and hidden away from prying eyes, and the way that could develop over tens of years, hundreds of years, thousands of years. Yeah, there's some very sick shit that does happen on this planet, and whether you believe in it or not doesn't really matter, because unfortunately, the people that hold high positions of power, they do at least enough to be complicit and compliant with the morals, or the lack thereof, and ethics that kind of operate at that level. So yeah, it's I don't know. I'm constantly talking about how the human condition has a very thin layer of civility that is used to try to hide and mask all of our brutish nature and kind of our more kind of I guess earthly ways.
Yeah. Our civilization is basically just software on very old hardware.
Right.
So like we will revert back to like animals if we don't hold on to what we have built and treat it with like the reverence it deserves. Yes, we get to completely become savage. It was like a line from The Mist with Thomas Jane where he said, if you as long as the lights are on, the water's running, you can call 911, people will stay civil. But if you take those away from them, put them in the dark and scare the shit out of them, then they'll eat each other. So and I think there's a lot of truth in that. So let's get into some of the conspiracies, because I want to know where your head is at with that. For fun. I think conspiracies and conspiracy theories are fun. They like, I always talk about like a need to re-enchant the world. And I think part of that is like not necessarily believing in things that aren't true, but like uplifting a kind of like, I don't know, healthy mythology. It's like believing in Santa Claus, or at least treating Santa Claus as always real when Christmas time comes around. It's not, I think that when you disenchant that, you take something away. And it seems weird, but it's like a metaphysical thing that I think we do better with, right? The idea of like the idea of like sea monsters, like we, I think there was like, we used to believe that there were giant squids. And then like somebody was like, well, there's no proof of that. And then these aren't real, but we are seeing them washing up on shore now. So there are like giant squids that have washed up on shore. So why not? Like, at least it's fun to think of the Loch Ness Monster or the Kraken as being real, for example, right? So I think it's fun to like think about, conspiracy theories, except for maybe flat Earth or hollow Earth. I don't think that, but anyway, the thing that's great about the Jeffrey Epstein list release is that it almost confirms every conspiracy that we were like talking about. Like Pizzagate is real, period. It's real, okay? And this was something that the mainstream media tried to like throw out like back in 2015, 2016. Right. But it was totally like a real thing. And now we just have to contend with that. But for me, I actually find it relieving to know it's real than frightening, because I always thought there was truth to it anyway. Because like I said before, if you can think of it, someone is doing it, right? So all right. So let me throw some conspiracy theories at you and see what you think about them. All right. So there's the Fortnite one. So apparently this is what the where it comes from. Epstein faked his death in 2019. So there was a body swap where like they put a body double in there, and then he like slipped away in the night during that 1 minute during where the footage was like, it like jumps, right? So the cameras, I don't know, something happened to the cameras. A bunch of like weird things happened, and then he was dead. Right. And but on the footage, there was a minute missing, and then somebody like showed the minute and some dude walked in there. Again, in the time of AI, we don't know for sure that that's true. But
Right.
the thing is, this is the conspiracy theory. Okay, he faked his death in 2019, with the help of powerful friends or intelligence agencies, and has been alive ever since, quietly grinding ranked matches on Fortnite under the username Lil Saint Jeff 1. Proponents point to the files mentioning that username, a 2019 V-Bucks purchase email, and a Fortnite tracker profile showing post-2019 activity, like 74 matches in 2025. Silver 1 rank in Chapter 5, Season 1, not bad, and even alleged geo-pings in Israel. So they claim he's hiding out there using game chat for encrypted communication or just living a low-key gamer life. What do you think, John? Do you think do you believe this or not? Do you believe that Epstein's alive, or is he really dead?
After seeing the pictures of the death body, because they did some comparisons, I watched it over on Jimmy Dore earlier this week. The internal kind of topology of the ear doesn't match on the dead body to the living body, and the nose is different. So like I put this one on the air of it would not shock me at this point in time if they did all these other things, which have come out in light of all this. Is this really the most despicable thing that? No, this is clearly something. Yeah, why wouldn't you? If you already feel that you have this much control over the way that the world actually operates, that you can just circumvent these punishments and accountability and things like that why wouldn't you? Because you're already in this far deep. So many people are caught up in it. It does kind of register as something that, yes, I think that could be very, very likely at this point in time.
I mean, yeah, I think it's hilarious, the idea of it. So,
right.
Okay. Then let's see what else we got here. Okay, yeah. So ties to Hollywood and entertainment get extra conspiratorial. The files prove a vast elite pedophile ring involving film and music execs, and Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut was a deliberate expose that got him killed. And he did die under strange circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about Stanley? Have you ever seen Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I want to. Like, I didn't want to watch it because I wasn't really into Kubrick. His movies are really slow. But then this whole thing happened years ago, like around the time of like Pizzagate was like really up in full swing. And Lindsay and I, my wife, we were like, we should watch this movie sometime. Because he died, like, was it during the movie or after it was
it was during editing. And the belief is that he had a different edit that he was planning on releasing. And then when he died, they went to work on kind of sanitizing what he was planning on putting out. So yeah,
they released the movie anyway,
right?
Make money,
right?
But he died.
Right.
Peak movie behavior. So okay, what do you think about? What do you think about this conspiracy theory? And also maybe, mention to what you think about Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, I think Eyes Wide Shut is actually very telling about secret societies and the way that they operate, and I think that it's probably, I am always saying there's more honesty in fiction than there is truth in the news. And the way that a lot of these contract lords even work, to some degree, is if it's kind of the whole thing. If you give Vampire Dominion, doesn't matter if they lied to you to get it, you still gave it to them, and that's effectively what we're dealing with is, people that, as long as you go along with it, your compliance, your willingness to just kind of turn a blind eye to it and be ignorant, because ignorant doesn't mean that you're stupid. It means that you're actively avoiding looking at something for whatever reason, and it might just be for your own self-preservation of the world that you hold in your head as being reality. It seems like something that can very easily be a trap that people fall into subconsciously, if not consciously. So in that regard, yeah, I do think that he was getting into things that were otherwise unspoken, and kind of industry secrets, for people that operate at that level of fame and fortune and access, things like that. So I do think that he was quite sincere in what he was trying to do with that film. And then, with the way that all this stuff, the mechanizations of these things, oftentimes throughout history, you'll see someone who becomes better at, seems more important to the cause by being an icon than an actual living entity. And if they can just, because if you're alive, then they have no narrative control. But once you're dead, then you're never going to be able to kind of speak for yourself about the way that you're being manipulated posthumously and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that that it is very likely that that he, because his death did kind of seemingly come out of nowhere when it happened, at least to my recollection. And so I don't think that it would be too much of a stretch for them to, if you're already doing all these other things, what does it mean to add another name to the list of so many people that you've exploited or sacrificed in one way, shape, or form in the process of keeping that realm of power obscured from prying eyes, things like that. So yeah, this is another one that it passes the John Spiracy
Yeah.
meter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there is like Bohemian Grove with the friggin' statue of Moloch or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And like, what's his name is joked about it too, Norm Macdonald. And I think that he probably like was pretty close to some of these people, so he could see what was going on. He was at least got a closer look. Also, Mel Gibson, who was like, he was making a film about the Rothschilds. We're still waiting on it. I don't know, like he can't work in Hollywood. Also, by the way, Mel Gibson nowhere in the files.
Right.
You know who else isn't in the files? Gabe Newell. So far, Valve is safe, and Mel Gibson is safe. But anyway, so another conspiracy theory is that, let's see, yeah, that they're involved with that the temple on the island is a satanic ritual site. Theories claim the blue striped structure on Little St. James wasn't a gym or music pavilion, but a temple for occult ceremonies, including blood sacrifices, child trafficking rituals, and invocations to entities like Baal or Babylon from Aleister Crowley's teachings. Some link it to Eyes Wide Shut, obviously, style orgies, masking demonic summonings, with the 2026 files redacted guest list proving the involvement of Hollywood figures like Weinstein in a global satanic cult. And so there's the satanic ritual stuff, which I personally believe is totally true. But what do you think, John?
Oh yeah, the esoteric ritualistic symbology stuff. That is some of the easiest stuff to actually kind of go and verify based on just historical records and various forms of mysticism and belief structures that have occurred throughout time. There are hours long documentaries. Multiple.
Yeah, Aleister Crowley has ties to Epstein too.
Yeah, about the architecture of the building and everything like that. Like, oh yeah, there's a lot that substantiates that claim. It was not arrived at by chance. I don't think. I think that is, yes, very. I think that these people that are involved in this sort of thing, they live in a different perspective of reality than you or I do, and they get into some very weird shit, and what they're ultimately in service to, it demands a lot of blood sacrifice. And it seems like we keep finding ways to, make that sacrifice happen ritualistically. It's this is another one that, yes, easy
easy one.
Easy
totally down with that satanic ritual stuff. Absolutely. Yes, it doesn't matter if you believe in the devil or not, they do. So and they'll act accordingly, right?
Yep.
And then, okay, so let's see. Zarang says blood rituals seem to make more sense within the context of spirit cooking. Yes, and that chick, I was gonna mention the spirit cooking chick too. Makes me wonder why clean cut Jay-Z, however mixed up he might have been at the time, went shitlocks later. I don't know. Do you know that the Wachowskis? I talked about this on the news show. One of the Wachowski brothers, siblings, whatever, that made the Matrix. After the first Matrix movie came out, he got absolutely involved with a dominatrix hypnotist or something, and then decided to become trans after that.
Right.
Then they both transitioned, and Baphomet is a demon lord of trans ideology. It's like a male and a female at the same time.
Yep.
So it's like a hermaphroditic demon lord.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, this is this is what's out there, guys. I can't now. Okay, aliens. So, building on David Icke style ideas, some theories posit Epstein hosted reptilian extraterrestrials disguised as humans among his guests, drawn to the island for its energy vortex suitable for rituals. These aliens allegedly crave young victims for feeding or hybridization experiments, tying into MK Ultra mind control programs where Epstein supposedly clothes people with hallucinations or hallucinogens, induced visions of shapeshifting. Connections extend to figures like the Clintons or Bushes as reptilian hybrids, with the files that entertainment mentions as, for example, Jay-Z as evidence of an alien satanic alliance harvesting adrenochrome. I'm all in on that. I'm just saying,
at this point in time, that would almost be easier to digest.
Yeah, it's like they live.
Right.
John Carpenter tried to warn us.
Right. Yeah, and that's the sick thing about this is that it would almost be easier to accept reptilian as being some kind of otherworldly entity than it
Alex
is.
Jones talked about the interdimensional space elves too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
So-
yeah, and I do believe in intradimensional entity kind of possibilities. Yes, that is, but even even if you step back from that, the reptilian, just in terms of does reptilian kind of suggest more of their spirit or their mindset and things like that? Yeah, there are people that are
Behavior,
very cold-blooded, calculating kind of, they're very reptilian, and that's just saying that they seem to have shed their humanity and those higher levels of order of thinking and consideration. And there's so it would, like I say, it would almost be easier just to be like, yeah, we know we've been getting disclosure in all its various forms, loosely for years now. At this point in time, sure, I can't outrightly dismiss it at this point in time. And in some ways, it would almost be more comforting than if the reality is just that no, we're just this sick and depraved based on our own motivations. As a species. So yeah. So yeah, we'll put it in the credible. Yes.
There's another thing. So we're just having fun, guys. Somebody in the vertical chat or the mobile chat says, "The fuck I stumbled upon Republic of Etu Well, we're just having fun talking about conspiracy theories, but I mean, like, at this point, like, I don't know. Like, I think nothing is off the table. So here's another theory, and this is interesting because I ran into a guy years ago. I was on a road trip with my wife. We were going up to Canada, and we stopped in Fargo, and for a hotel, we had to stay in a hotel, and we needed a dog-friendly one. And there was this guy that was next door to us where we were, where we were staying, and he was like hanging around outside, and he's just chatted me up because I was just like out there, hanging out, and he ended up I forgot how we got on the topic, but he started talking about the Nephilim and the spiritual war that we're in. And I just sat there and let him talk. And Lindsay and I had a laugh about it, but there's another theory here. Another conspiracy theory is that there are fallen angels posing as aliens in a grand deception. Drawing from biblical Nephilim lore, podcasts like Blurry Creatures suggest Epstein's network was influenced by fallen angels disguised as aliens or greys, pouring forbidden knowledge into elites via rituals. This ties 1947 events like the Roswell UFO crash and Israel's founding, weird timing on that, to modern ones like Epstein's science outreach, claiming it's part of a fourth industrial revolution preparing humanity for Nephilim kings or alien disclosure as satanic trickery. Some variants say Epstein faked his death to join these entities in their hidden bases, for example, in Antarctica or Mars, using the island for hybrid creation akin to ancient Atlantis. Why isn't there a video game based on this? This is crazy, dude.
It's too real, man.
What do you think about that?
Is
that going too far? Have we crossed the Rubicon?
I think we are just kind of at that point to where it's like you kind of have to leave yourself open to the possibility on all this at this point in time. Because when you talk about channeling and all this kind of weird shit that people have said they've been led by voices and all this kind of stuff throughout history. I mean, there's clearly, there's certainly, I think that there are dark forces. And everybody knows for the most part, people who watch the show anyways, know my weird, twisted beliefs in the time and existence and being here in the mortal coil and everything that goes around. I believe in multifaceted states of reality, that the universe was in essence, it was fractured around the time of the Higgs boson in a chronological time scale, but all time emanates and is accessible kind of through that event in parallel worlds. This is one of those things where it's like, I think that it would be one of those things where people would almost rather accept something that's an easier fiction than to actually have to start dealing with the concepts of divinity and darkness being in an eternal kind of battle for just humanity itself. And so this one is kind of a little bit more on the side where it's like, because we are living in the time too where there's going to be a full court press to try to put out as much stuff that seems completely out there, because the more that you can kind of just muddy those waters, if I can get people to glom onto one thing that ultimately ends up being invalid, then I can invalidate all their suppositions and speculation and arguments and questions and things like that. So again, I can't rule it out. But it does seem to me to be one that's kind of a little bit more of trying to pack this into other things that are also out there. But with the military-industrial complex and the way that it seemingly operates.
You heard about their psychic weapon that they used? The discombobulator, as Trump calls it. It's a discombobulator. Right. Where they didn't have to fire a shot. It was like some weapon that just disabled, when he went to go in and get Maduro. You know about that?
I hadn't heard about this.
Oh, dude! You don't know? Okay, wait. It was some. Well, I mean, Trump was like talking about it, but it's some crazy secret military weapon that just discombobulated all of the people at the where they went to go get Maduro. It was like some site. I think it was like a psychic weapon or something.
I wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I know they have sonic weapons for crowd control and things like that. So, and we operate, you know, as solid as we may seem, we're all composed of the spaces in between. We're essentially, you know, nothing more than the concentration of our energetic fields, you know, manifested into some semblance of reality. But you know, the moment that you and I, any of us, are standing in is already the past. You know, like
for sure,
and kind of like this etherical kind of, I guess, vibration of possibility.
We don't know what it looks like, but the weapon in question, referred to in reports about the January 3rd military operation that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in Caracas, is a classified directed energy system that President Donald Trump publicly nicknamed the discombobulator.
And it does seem this is very
like
much
something out of G.I. Joe.
Right,
Trump
right.
Described it as a secret weapon that made the enemy equipment not work, preventing Venezuelan defenses, including Russian and Chinese rockets, from functioning. Buttons were pressed, but systems failed. So it sounds like an EMP maybe, but I guess it's not that simple. Eyewitness accounts from Venezuelan Cuban security personnel describe the effects on people. An intense sound wave-like deployment causing head exploding sensations, nosebleeds, vomiting blood, inability to stand or move, and collapse.
Sensation of burning. Some
reports framed it as a sonic weapon, tying it to symptoms resembling Havana syndrome, which is phantom sounds, nausea, disorientation. Experts in analyses suggest it's likely a pulse-modulated, high-power microwave directed energy weapon, possibly combining electromagnetic pulses to fry or disable electronic devices. The Frey effect, pulsed RF inducing auditory hallucinations and physiological distress like nausea and vertigo in humans. So
I would imagine it's all of those. There's probably multiple technologies that they're utilizing to hit this intended outcome. And but it is very much a Trump thing to do, to where he just comes out and he says stuff that some people are like, what the fuck does that even mean? And then
discombobulator.
Right. Well, like
discombobulate, that's what it does. I don't know. I don't do it. That's
right.
What they do.
Because like
we have it and they don't have it because they're losers.
Right. Because everybody kind of, I'm sure, remembers back to when they were saying, Trump said to inject bleach into your blood to get rid of COVID.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, he's so crazy. And it's like, no, what he was actually talking about was ultraviolet blood infusion therapies, UVBIs. Like that's what they were talking. That's what he was talking about, which is an actual legitimate fundamental medical practice for 100 years at this point. And he was explaining it at the level to which he could just explain it, and he was actually being honest. So something like this, definitely.
I mean, amazing and hilarious. Okay, so I just want to say one more thing. We're gonna close out.
Yeah.
But first, we're gonna end the show here. Let me look at some of your comments, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Norwegian Black Templar says, in before Epstein is responsible for all the safety measures and parental control in Minecraft as well. Well, Minecraft, I didn't cover it, but Minecraft is doing that thing about like civil rights leaders. It's cringe. I made a video on it. Forget it. And also Bobby Kotick, it is confirmed, I guess, or at least like to some degree, that Epstein is the reason why there are microtransactions. He's like, he was very influential in getting that started with Activision and Blizzard, and I think that other companies followed suit. This goes back to like Black Ops 2, I think. But that's what I read in an article from the International Business Times. So anyway, Robert Johnson says the best tinfoil hat theory that I have heard is that they threw Michael Jackson under the bus to provide cover for Epstein. Yeah, Michael Jackson is innocent. He only has a couple photos with him, but there's no other mentions of him in the files that regards him like doing anything untoward. I think that Michael Jackson was definitely thrown under the bus because he was challenging the music industry for a number of reasons. That's why he was like in competition with Apple to buy the Beatles. He wanted to own the Beatles library, but then he died, and now Apple owns it. So as an example, he was good friends with Paul McCartney.
Yeah, and people who survive childhood neglect, abuse, molestation kind of situations, generally, one of two extremes tends to develop, and then within that, a gradation of it is people that either graduate into becoming perpetrators of the thing themselves because this is how the world is, or people that become very vigilant towards that kind of stuff, and they don't want anybody else to endure the suffering that they've known because it's some pretty heavy shit to deal with in your day-to-day life. So yeah, Michael Jackson does seem to me like clearly had a troubled upbringing, obviously.
Yes.
And I think that due to that, the nature of his character tends to suggest to me that he would probably be somebody who was doing things out of some sense of honor and nobility, and actually trying to.
I think he wanted to be better than his father.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really see him graduating to committing abuse on people.
No,
so.
I think people are going to continue to think this, but I think that's the reason why we should challenge it. Okay, Robert Johnson says some powerful people wanted Eyes Wide Shut edited. A couple gives their young daughter to the cult at the end of it, if memory serves. That probably hit a little too close to home for those people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on that. John, you want to say anything?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely stuff. A lot of high-level elites or people in high-level government positions, things like that. Their kids will end up being MK Ultra, disassociation and things like that, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's almost a way to prove that you're, capable of holding that kind of position of power, is your ability to just kind of shut off your humanity whenever the moment is deemed necessary. Yeah, there's some people that,
all right.
There was women that were openly, one of the things from this week, I can't remember the name of the woman. She's some woman of high prominence, talking about how her daughter's having a slumber party to celebrate turning 15, and it'd be great if Jeffrey could stop by and see the girls. Yeah, it's like, ugh, and this is someone talking about their own kid. So it's
okay. Xeranx says the tactical high-power operational responder, or is a high-power microwave directed energy weapon developed by the United States Air Force Research Laboratory. Wow. Dude, that's, terrifying, but cool at the same time. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for all your commentary on that. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get more into these files. There's just so much.
Oh, well, there's many days to come.
Yeah, but we got plenty of time, and more will be revealed as time goes on. But John, we're going to wrap up here. So let's just let people know where you're going to be so they can check out.
Yeah, since we finish up the stream, I'm going to go ahead over to Will of the Fans channel. He's we're doing some Jackbox games here in a little bit. So if people want to get in on that, play some games with us, I'll be there. More than likely, Toasty will probably join in. Rhoda and Will, of course, and a few other people that.
What are you guys gonna be playing?
Just some Jackbox games, probably.
Cool. Jackbox.
Probably some Quiplash and some Champed Up, I would imagine. We try to, mix it up with drawing games and scatological shit. But that's happening immediately after we end. I'm not even taking my headphones off. I'm just going to a different room. But tomorrow, of course, schedule, be doing an episode of Time in Red Dwarf in Space, as I like to call it. It's our WTF live edition for Sunday, starting at, we moved it back an hour, so that Will can have a little bit more time dealing with, now having 2 kids and all the stuff. So we start at 10 a.m. Eastern, covering episodes 1 and 2 of season 10, And then, of course, on Tuesdays and Thursday, we'll be starting at that new 10 a.m. start time as well for just the events of the week that are going on. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m., I'll be hanging out again with Toasty over on her channel. You can always find me there with her on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday nights, unless she gets the call from Chrissy to join into Simpcast again, which she did last Sunday. Definitely do. If you enjoy my weird antics and whatnot, please support me on those other channels and those creators do some really great stuff. Of course, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today for the last couple hours, getting into all this weird, crazy shit. This was quite a week. And always a pleasure having these conversations with you to kind of round out the weekend of events. And with that said, y'all have a wonderful weekend going forward. Of course, safe travels ahead. Be awesome as always.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And don't forget, I'm going to quote this. This is Ephesians 6:11 through 6:13. Put on the whole armor of God, yet that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. So share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture, and we will see you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse, because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.
Please give this video a like and subscribe!